5 financial mistakes I've made over the years. Even as a person who majored in finance and started my career as a CPA, I've made financial mistakes, and some really big ones that I will share with you, so that hopefully not only will you avoid making the same mistakes, but also because, as some of you may have made financial mistakes in your life, you may ultimately find ways to recover from them, though maybe with some battle wounds like I did. I'm going to be pretty candid here, and some of this may be a bit surprising for some of you. But by sharing, I also hope that maybe you won't be so hard on yourself and rather take this opportunity to learn from your and my mistakes and focus on taking the best path forward. If you're new to my channel, my name is Anna, and here we talk about money and health. If these topics interest you, I'd appreciate if you hit that like button and subscribe. Now let's get started. The biggest financial mistake I ever made was not getting medical and dental treatment early when I should have, because I was afraid of being hit with huge bills. The repeat scenarios of dealing with shocking medical bills had jaded me to only see doctors when it seemed absolutely necessary, rather than treating things early before issues escalated. This resulted in even larger medical bills than had I just gotten treatment early, never mind the damage done to my body by not making health a priority. Don't do what I did. Make health a priority. The second financial mistake I made was going through so much graduate school. There are 2 degrees in particular that I earned that did not ultimately get me the investment return that I hoped for. And when I say this isn't a knock to the schools, but rather, in my specific case, my career path ultimately did not result in reaping the benefits that I hoped for. One is getting my LLM taxation at Northwestern University. As a CPA who was completing my JD during the Great Recession, which led to 2.6 million jobs lost by 2008 alone, I thought getting an LLM taxation from a top law school would be useful in improving my job prospects. I believe I paid around $60,000, and that didn't include the amount of interest that I paid over the years since then. Unfortunately, by the time I completed my LLM that year, more than 15 million people were unemployed in the US, a really tragic time. But that's not all. Years later, I went to get my MBA in Hong Kong at arguably the top MBA program in Asia at the time. This too, however, didn't lead to the job prospects and connections I thought I would come back with to the States. That was another $45,000 to $50,000 gone. Both of these educational experiences I enjoyed, but from a return on investment perspective, the money could have been invested much better. Hindsight is always 20/20, right? Despite the size of these numbers, I want to just highlight that not prioritizing my health in the early years is still my #1 financial mistake, which is why you see much emphasis in health here and in my other videos. The next financial mistake I made, the most recent one of this list, is not refinancing one of my properties when the interest rates were at historical lows. We managed to refinance 2 of our properties, one fixed at 2.25% and the other one fixed at 3.25%. We didn't bother refinancing the 3.25% mortgage because that mortgage is almost paid off. And in running the numbers, it didn't really make sense to do it again. But one property missed the boat, and it is currently at 6.75%. With the best mortgage interest rates now lingering between 6.2 to 6.62% between 15 to 30-year fixed loans, I'm deciding if I want to tap into my emergency fund to accelerate payoff. Not a great place to be. The next financial mistake goes back a number of years, but there have been multiple times from my early 20s and on where I did not prioritize having an emergency fund. I figured that I was healthy and I didn't have big expenses, so even if I lost my accounting job at the time, I'd be able to cover my expenses working part-time or on minimum wage. This was risky, and sad to say, I didn't really focus on having a sizable emergency fund until after my second child was born, and I realized how important it was to have something like this in place. I've learned since then, though, and I've amassed an emergency fund that should cover us for about 9 months. My 5th financial mistake was not investing earlier, except for putting in money up to what my employer matched at the time in my 401k. Every month, I would pay my bills and then give the remainder to family members that I felt needed the money more than I did, with the thought that retirement was so far away that I didn't really need to leave much for myself. I made about $42,000 straight out of school at the time and paid rent about $500 a month with a car payment of $368 a month. I felt rich having a real job for the first time, and so I didn't think twice when, after paying bills, I'd clean out my bank account and send $800, sometimes upward to $1,500 a month back home. If you can afford it, I think it's good to be generous with family and charities. But I took it to an extreme beyond what was affordable and sensible at the time. We all have probably heard about the power of compounding. If I had taken a more balanced approach, my financial situation would look much better than it is today. But we live and learn, right? Since then, I've made two significant changes that really changed everything. The obvious one is that I began saving aggressively, but also I prevented lifestyle creep, especially in what is usually the big ticket items. When I saw my friends all making their upgrades, specifically their homes, where on average their new homes were double our own home's purchase price, it was really tempting to do the same. But it was the saving grace that helped us become millionaires when we saw our investment portfolios increase by 73% from 2020 to 2021 during the K-shaped recovery from the meteoric surge of the stock market. Granted, our friends did see their homes appreciate during this time, but not to the level of the stock market in general. And their larger homes come with a surge of expenses in property taxes and mortgages. Most of them don't plan on an early retirement, so paying their mortgages off early is not something they prioritize. Whereas for our household, having the flexibility and option to afford to retire early absolutely is a priority for us, whether we choose to retire early ultimately or not. Because at this stage where we've achieved coast fire, it's not about maximizing our contributions to our retirement accounts anymore, but now we can breathe a bit and make a significant freeing mind shift in maximizing life experiences rather than wealth accumulation. Depending on where you are in life, I have a few videos which I can share in the description section below if you want to learn more about this concept of coast fire. If you take anything away from this, I hope that it is that everyone makes mistakes, even someone with a financial background like me. But with focus and commitment, you can turn things around. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in my next video.